Hi guys, welcome to our next lesson in our homologous series block. Today we are looking at branched alkenes. Now, if you recall in our previous lesson, we introduced a new homologous series called the alkenes. You may recall from our last lesson that our alkenes are hydrocarbons, which means they are made only from hydrogen and carbon, and they differ from the alkanes in that they contain a carbon-to-carbon double bond. Today we are going to be looking at how we name alkenes that have branches in them. Our learning intentions are to describe the rules for naming branched alkenes and practice drawing branch-chained alkenes. So at the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify a branched alkene and use rules to name them. You should also, all things going to plan, be able to draw a branched chain alkene when you are given its name. So just before we go on to look at alkenes with branches, let's refresh our memory on how we name our alkenes that are straight chained. Let's start with this one here on the left. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to count the number of carbons in the longest chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 carbons, which means we are going to use the prefix pent. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to number the carbons in this chain to give the carbon where the double bond starts the lowest possible number. If we were to start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, our double bond would be on carbon 2. If we were to start in this direction, it would be on carbon 3. So what we want to do is we want to select the lowest possible number for our double bond, and we pop it in the middle of a name, and we finish it off with the ending ENE. So remember, all of our alkenes end in "-ene". Our next example, first things first, count those carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 carbons, has the prefix hex. Let's count those carbons. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And from the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this case, it doesn't matter which side you start at, you will always find that that double bond starts at carbon 3. So we'll pop our 3 into the middle and finish off its name ENE. Now that we have gone over that, let's shift to looking at alkenes with branches. So similar to our alkanes with branches, the first thing that we do is we are going to find the longest chain. Now, when alkenes are involved, the longest chain must contain your double bond. So our double bond is here, so let's find the longest chain. We can go straight across, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can also go up in a backwards L shape, 1, 2, 3, 4. I am, for simplicity, going to choose this as our longest chain. And we are going to count them once more, 1, 2, 3, 4. Its prefix will be but, and the double bond here is on carbon 1. So it will be but-1-ene. We then have to deal with our group. Now if this is carbon 1, this would be 2, 3, 4. So our group then is on carbon 3. And what kind of group is it? Well, it contains only one carbon atom, so it will be a methyl or methyl group. This alkene's name then is 3-methyl-but-1-ene. So let's look at another example then. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 carbons in our longest chain containing our double bond. Our prefix will be hept. Next thing we have to do is we have to number the carbons so that the double bond has the lowest possible number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In this case, numbering from left to right will give us the lowest number. So our main alkene is hept 3-ene. Now once again, there's only one carbon in this group, so it is a methyl group, and it is on carbon 6, so it is called 6-methyl hept 3-ene. Let's do another couple of examples then. Alright then, let's look at another couple of examples. First up, we have this hydrocarbon here. It contains a double bond, so we know it's an alkene. And the first thing we do is we find our longest chain. If we were to go from left to right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons in the chain. However, if we were to start down here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons in our chain. This means that our longest hydrocarbon chain is here. It has 6 carbons, so the prefix will be hex. We then have to number the carbons so that the carbon containing the double bond has the lowest possible number. If we were to start from the bottom and work our way up, that carbon would have the number 3. If we were to go backwards from there, so regardless of how we number them then, our double bond will always be on carbon 3, so it will be hex 3-ene. Okay, so now that we have named our main parent alkene, we are going to identify and add in the names of our groups. Now we have a group here and also a group here. They both are methyl groups, they only have one carbon each. That we are going to number the carbons that these groups are attached to. So it is 3 and 4. So our name begins 3, 4. We have 2 methyl groups, and because we have 2, we use the prefix di. Our alkene name is 3,4-dimethyl hex 3-ene. Let's move on to our second example. Once again, we are identifying our longest chain. This one is slightly easier. Our longest chain here is just here. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons, so its prefix is but. Remember, we are numbering these carbons so that this double bond has the lowest number, which means in this instance we number from right to left. Our double bond begins on carbon 1, so you would call it but-1-ene. Again, we have two methyl groups. They are both on carbon 3. So the beginning then is 3. And remember, because we have 2, we are using those prefixes again. So it's dimethyl. And its full name is 3-dimethyl but-1-ene. So now that we have practiced naming some branched alkenes, let's move on to drawing them from their names. The first one we are going to draw is 2-methyl pent-2-ene. Now, like with the alkanes, I am going to start by drawing my parent alkene first. And that parent alkene is pent-2-ene. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons, as it has the prefix pent. Our double bond starts on carbon 2, so it goes in here. And now I'm going to put in our group. Our group is a methyl group, which means it contains 1 carbon, and it is on carbon 2. So I will draw it in here. Here is our methyl group. And the last thing that I have to do is add in my hydrogen atoms, remembering that each carbon has 4 bonds coming from it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now be careful when you are adding your double bond, make sure that you don't add any extra carbons. Our next example, 3-methyl hept-3-ene. Again, I am going to start by drawing our parent alkene first, and it is hept-3-ene. Hept means there are 7 carbons in the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our double bond begins on carbon 3. 1, 2, 3. And our methyl branch containing that 1 carbon is also on carbon 3. So we draw it in on carbon 3. And the last thing we have to do is add in our hydrogens to make sure that each carbon has formed 4 bonds. And that is 3-methyl hept-3-ene. Our final example is something slightly more complicated. We are going to be drawing 2,3-dimethyl pent-1-ene. So as in my previous examples, I'm going to start with my parent alkene. Pent means I have 5 carbons in a chain. And my number in the middle tells me that our double bond is on carbon 1. We have 2 methyl groups, I know this from the prefix di, and they are on carbons 2 and carbon 3. Once we have our double bond and our groups in place, we then add in our missing hydrogen atoms. Now remember when you are doing so that each carbon can only have 4 bonds coming from it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, missing a bond, hydrogen goes here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is 2,3-dimethyl pent-1-ene. And that, guys, takes us to the end of today's lesson on branched alkenes. The plan for today's lesson was to describe the rules for naming these branched alkenes and have a go at drawing some. Hopefully at the end of the lesson you have a better idea of how to identify a branched alkene, how to use the rules to name a branched chain alkene, and how to draw one using its name. As always, if you need any help at all, please contact me via Teams or via email, and keep an eye on your virtual classroom so that you know which notes to complete and which assignments require your attention. I hope that you have a lovely rest of your week, enjoy your weekend when it comes, and I will see you all in the next lesson.